Well, I first started experiencing symptoms back in 2008. It took just over a year of going to see my GP with what I now know were simple partial seizures, saying that I was hearing noises and voices in the left side of my head and a tingling down my left side of my body. And I was just repeatedly told, oh, you're just having migraines, go away and come back again in a few weeks' time. I explained that I wasn't in pain and whatever was happening was literally over in seconds, and everything I knew about migraines was they were to last a long time. But went off, eventually went back, and there was a locum GP a year later, and because I had, I was able to say that I had private health insurance, could I be referred? She referred me, and within a month I was diagnosed with a brain tumour on my right temporal lobe. I had surgery literally within the month, and it was a grade 2 astrocytoma. They debulked it, took about, I think, 5% out. And literally I was on the watch and wait every 6 months, go back for a scan, see what's happening. And for a few years it was relatively stable, and that was kind of the routine, apart from living with epilepsy as well, because I initially didn't want to go on epilepsy medication. So I just sort of suffered the simple partial seizures daily because I didn't fit or lose consciousness. I just handed my license back and just got on with it. Okay. So that was the epilepsy now is for life. I was 31 and both the children were under the age of 5. So it was really difficult as a new mum with my youngest to be torn away from the children and having brain surgery. That was a big shock. And it was also very difficult on my first husband. I think that he found it very difficult to deal with, the lack of control that you have. And this, I got on with dealing with the kids and back to family life once I'd had surgery, because that was what got me through it. Well, I always talk about it, for one. It's nothing's hidden. I always explain everything to them. And when I was having my recent surgery in November, I sat down with them and I said to them, have you got questions that you want me to ask my surgeon? And they both sat down and listed their questions that they wanted me to ask my surgeon. And I went back to them with all the answers in detail. And that was sort of their way of sort of having their little...
how to understand. And
yeah. And I just don't hide anything. And with the chemotherapy that I'm on at the moment, we call it the oncologist, the medicine doctor who gives me tablets, and they understand that they make me sick and they make me poorly. But I think by them being so aware of things that it helps them. On the every morning after I've taken the chemotherapy tablets, the next morning my daughter will come in to me and go, "How was your night, Mummy? Was you sick last night?" And then before I came on here today, I spoke to the children about that, and I said to my son, he said, "Why are you going on the radio, Mummy?" And I said, "To raise awareness of brain tumours." He said, "But I am aware of brain tumours." And I said, "I know you are, but not everyone else is."
Where you have, as a part, as you say, that you want to raise awareness because of your own situation.
Well, I think for me, it helps me personally, because having a brain tumour and having epilepsy, you lose so much in areas of your life. I was working as a child mentor before my surgery last year, which I absolutely loved. And I had to give up doing that because it was just not feasible to recover from surgery. And then I also knew chemotherapy was on the cards after. So I have to find a way to give something back and feel like I'm doing something worthwhile with my life, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. And I think as well, everyone should be aware that there are sort of clinical trials going on, that immunotherapy, there are advances being made. We're not quite there yet as a standard treatment, but there are things that are happening, and it is a major, to me personally, whereas I never thought long term until my children were grown up and married, it's almost changed things for me overnight, in that I feel like there is, you can live with this long term. It's not something that is just so negative and no cure.